Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 16 of Season 5 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I'm Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Kraft 500 here at Blue Ridge Speedway, a brand new racetrack for this series, as we are getting set for 30 laps of racing here at this hybrid of pretty much a track similar to California and Michigan. However, this is nothing like those tracks as far as how they race. Think more Talladega, Daytona, or restrictor plate racing here on a 2-mile racetrack. So we could be in for something really special here. But before we get started with the lineup, we gotta take a look at the top 10 in the point standings coming into the race today, as we are getting closer and closer to the chase. So after last week, with a really good race at Denver, Joshua Collard still leads the points by 26 points over Carson Gum. Third is Paul Minnick. Fourth, Benjamin Miles. Fifth, Dylan Jacobs. Sixth is last week's winner, James Qualls. Seventh, Dylan Young. Eighth, James McLeod. Ninth, Sean Galligan. And then 10th is Dougie Shears. So right now, some drivers that are on the outside looking in that we got to keep an eye out for, as my phone decides to go off, are certain drivers who have been on a roll over the course of the last few races, moving up in points, that could potentially put themselves in the... excuse me. I had a hiccup there. That could get themselves into the top 10, or drivers who just fell out that could rebound. So I'm mainly talking about guys like DJ Curtis, Dylan Poteet, who's actually on the pole for today. Same for other drivers who just moved into the top 20 that are starting to gain some momentum. Guys like James Shelley, Patrick Smith, Preston Plord, Kyle Matthews. So anything can happen, especially at this place now. And without further ado, let's take a look at the starting lineup. Starting in the last row, we've got Emmanuel Hardnett and Carson Gum, teammates, starting in the last row. Up here in the top 10, like I said, Dylan Poteet on the pole for today, and he's the first multiple pole winner this season. This is his second pole this season. Starting next to him is Jay Jefferson. Row 2 is Alex Drayton and the points leader Joshua Collard. Row 3, Preston Plord and Ethan Hoffman. Row 4, Patrick Smith, Seth Cole. And then row 5, Kyle Matthews and Diego Yepez. But let's go ahead and get the command to fire engines for the Kraft 500 here at Blue Ridge.
Drivers, start your engines!
So all 40 drivers on the racetrack for their one pace lap here. So I did a couple of tests at this racetrack before we got started with this recording. And from what I can see, 4 wide is definitely going to be quite common in this race. However, wrecks will rarely occur. In fact, one of the test races I did, we only had 2 wrecks. One was a big wreck, one was probably a solo car spin. But depending on how these drivers are going to be racing each other, we could be in for either some spectacular racing or spectacular crashing, or heck, why not both? And considering that this racetrack is in the same shape of tracks like California and Michigan, however, the banking is a lot more here at this place, and they will be going to godlike speeds of almost 240 miles an hour, I would assume. So this race is going to be wacky, it's going to be fun, and it could be dangerous, but boogity, 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 let's go racing! It was close at the line, but it was Alex Drayton who led the first lap, and he still has that spot, although a lot of drivers starting to... Oh, and there they go! Seth Cole and Trent Dunham around, and this is the big one already here at the beginning, and it's a big, big wreck. Numerous cars involved. Rafael LeDuc, Dylan Young, Jake Baskinger, Jessica Sheldon just got hit hard. Sheldon gets hit again, and I saw, Trent Dunham and Seth Cole, they were the first ones I saw that got sent around. Paul Minnick damaged. I'm not sure about Charles Sanford. Rafael LeDuc, I saw, got a piece of it at least. Minnick's got some damage. I wonder if Zorline was in it. Colin Francis was involved. Yeah, I see some dents on Rafael LeDuc's car, but no hood buckle, so I think he's going to be okay to continue. Maybe still up to speed. DJ Curtis, who just fell out of the top 10 in points. Same with Emmanuel Hardnett. They were involved. Dylan Thoreau got some cosmetic damage. But the big one is struck early here at Blue Ridge. Kyle Matthews is the race leader. We just crossed the line to complete lap 3. Let's go ahead and take a look at the replay and see what brought the caution out for the first time today here at Blue Ridge. So here's a look at what happened. So they were going 4 wide for several rows, but right here is where I think it starts to go a bit wrong for some drivers as we go to helicopter camera. And it looks like McLeod just got up into Trent Dunham and into Dylan Thoreau, and then Dylan Thoreau just sort of became the meat and the sandwich between Trent Dunham and Seth Cole, and then all hell breaks loose from there. There's where Shelley gets his damage. Same with Yepez, as we are waiting for the cameras to transition. There's a spectator shot. And then there you see all the carnage start taking place. There you see Sheldon get turned. Galligan gets into it. So too does Jake Rogers. There's where Colin Francis gets his damage. I see Minnick back there. Sakuli, Fiegel, Dylan Young who got big time damage. And Baskinger seemed to be okay until Jessica Sheldon's car starts to back up. And Baskinger's trying to find a hole to get by everybody, and then as Sheldon starts backing up right in front of Baskinger, and there was the first big hit for the O2 car. And then also Carson Gum, he got big time right side damage. And it looks like I think it's going to be Fiegel who hits Sheldon next, and that was a pretty big hit right there. But just to double check with some other cars that perhaps just got very little damage that were caught up in this. Let's go to helicopter view for this. So there's Rafael LeDuc. He just ends up getting squeezed into the outside wall, and then just a couple of love taps into the rear end, but nothing severe, so I don't think that's going to affect the 77 car as far as his engine. I think he's, even though he's going to be probably be in the back with a couple of damaged cars, I think he'll still be up to speed. Same with even Charles Sanford and Jonathan Zorline, who I think managed to get slowed up in time to not run into anybody. So Cooley just got spun and did get some driver's side damage, but I don't think that will affect him too badly. Everyone else, though, is way more questionable. However, Sheldon, I think, is the guaranteed driver out of the race for sure. But we're going to go ahead, since we're getting ready to get back to the restart. Let's take you to the restart here at Blue Ridge. So after that big one, we got 4 cars pretty much done for the day and are not going to get points. Dylan Young, Trent Dunham, Tim Fiegel, and Jake Baskinger. I'm kind of surprised Jessica Sheldon isn't out of the race, and she's still going to try and continue, which I got a feeling she's going to be quite a hazard on the racetrack for the slower cars. But without further ado, let's look at the field. So when we get back to racing, Kyle Matthews will be your race leader. Second, Colin Phillips. Third, Jay Jefferson. Fourth, Benjamin Miles. Fifth, Alex Drayton. Sixth, Dougie Shears. Seventh, Preston Plord. Eighth, Cody Lamas. Ninth, Ethan Hoffman. 10th, Dylan Jacobs. 11th will be Matt McIntyre. 12th, Patrick Smith. 13th, Chris Dollarton. 14th, James McLeod. 15th, Dylan Poteet. 16th, Joshua Collard. 17th, James Qualls. 18th, Anthony McCrory. 19th, Diego Yepes. 20th, Jonathan Zorline. 21st, Charles Sanford. 22nd, Zachary Fitzwater. 23rd, Sean Galligan. 24th, Rafael Leduc. 25th, Dylan Thoreau. 26th, Joshua Sekuli. 27th, Emmanuel Hartnett. 28th, DJ Curtis. 29th, Carson Gum. 30th, Cullen Francis. Then Jessica Sheldon, Jake Rogers, Paul Minnick, Seth Cole, Ryan Butcher, and James Shelley a lap down, and we're back underway. 24 to go here at Blue Ridge in the Kraft 500. Looking around with the slower cars like Butcher and Shelley and see what's going to happen whenever these drivers try and get around them. Shelley's done a good job of moving out of the way. However, Ryan Butcher continues to be in the way of a lot of drivers. And now Shelley moved to the bottom and holding up affiliate teammate Rafael Leduc. Now they finally go on by. Now Ryan Butcher going to move up to the outside and keep going. But let's go back up here at the front and see what is all occurring right now. We got a side-by-side battle for the lead. Jay Jefferson with a run to the inside of Kyle Matthews. But he doesn't have drafting help. Now he's starting to get a little bit of it from Alex Drayton. And it looks like now he's going to be able to get to the race lead. And he's going to get a bonus point right here. Still got a long way to go here at Blue Ridge, though. Anything can still happen at this place. Especially considering this is a debut track for almost everybody in this field. Meanwhile, behind Jay Jefferson, 3 wide for second, Cody Lamas underneath both Alex Drayton and Kyle Matthews, and is going to take that spot, and now he's going to try and get to the race lead and take it away from Jay Jefferson. But look at this tandem on the very bottom. Colin Phillips being pushed by veteran Dylan Jacobs. And now they get a third driver in their pack. James McLeod going to try and help them out. While Lamas led at the line, here comes Ethan Hoffman in the 99. And Ethan Hoffman, as far as I know in the point standings, he's the only driver to have not gotten a top 10 finish so far this season. And right now he's on route to potentially accomplishing that. Still got 20 laps to go here at Blue Ridge, however. Anything's still possible as they're 4 wide back here. Looks like for the 4th position they're 4 wide. Now it looks like it's settled out to 3 wide. Cody Lamas trying to utilize the outside to get by Ethan Hoffman as he had to push from Jay Jefferson. Although Hoffman's not going to give up, he's still got a strong race car on the bottom. And he's trying to keep second at least. Meanwhile, I see James Qualls, who won last week at Denver in a photo finish over Benjamin Miles, who's also up here battling for spots. Qualls, he's looking to go 2 in a row and be the, I would assume, the 3rd driver, I think. Yeah, the 3rd driver this season. If he were to win today, he'd be the 3rd driver this season to go 2 in a row. First, it was Matt McIntyre, and I'm still trying to remember. I believe it was Vegas and California he went 2 in a row at. And then Dougie Shears, who went 2 in a row at, I believe, Talladega and Kansas. Qualls won last week at Denver in a photo finish, and now he's up here in the lead here at Blue Ridge. However, side-by-side still Cody Lamas and Ethan Hoffman. These two have been right on each other for quite a while, and Hoffman trying to get the lead back. Close at the line, I'm not sure. Yeah, it was barely Ethan Hoffman's lap lead right there. But here comes a driver who, speaking of one of those drivers who went 2 in a row, there's Matt McIntyre, who has struggled almost ever since those 2 wins in a row early in the season, as he's fallen He fell from 15th to 25th after last week at Denver, and I forgot to mention that he was the big loser in the point standings. Or actually, no, he was the second one. The first one was Rafael Leduc, who fell from 18th to 29th. The big winner in the points was Joshua Sekuli after Denver, who moved up to 21st. However, right now... Oh, and there they go! Oh, and this is a huge one! A lot of leaders. Oh, a vicious hit for Qualls. Joshua Collard, the points leader, was involved. A lot of front runners just got taken out up here at the front of the field. Preston Plord damaged, and I believe I saw damage to Dougie Shears' race cars. We just got past the halfway point. I was looking at the point standings, and I came back and I saw they started wrecking right here off of turn 2 again. And by some miracle, certain drivers managed to get by, and Zachary Fitzwater is the new race leader as a result. Crazy development as we just had another big wreck that might have been just as big as the one we had early in the race, and now everybody's going to come into pit road to top off on fuel and get tires, which is pretty smart on the part of those drivers. So we're going to stay... We're going to go to this pit lane camera and see who is going to come out first, who's going to get the race lead as a result of pit stops. But yeah, a harder big one just now took place as I saw James Qualls take a brutal hit into the inside wall, and it looks like it's going to be Fitzwater, Phillips, Poteet, Shears, and Zorline, the top 5, when we get back to racing. Although Ryan Butcher stayed out, but he's a lap down. As I see Matt McIntyre is taking his car into the garage. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the replay of what brought the caution out for the second time today here at Blue Ridge. So this is going to be somewhat of an accordion effect that's going to get started here. And then it's going to start with, looks like Charles Sanford and Dougie Shears make contact. And he comes up in the Shears, Miles, Lamas, Collard, Jefferson, and Matthews. And there's how everybody gets collected. In fact, let me actually go back to see that one more time just to be on the safe side. Yeah, it looked like Sanford just got up in the Shears and Miles, who in turn gets in the Lamas and company, and then Matthews, as he got hit, ends up collecting Hoffman, McIntyre, Drayton, Smith, and Plord. McCrory was involved, and I didn't see him get in there. There's McLeod. Now watch Qualls back here. He's going to slide and hit very hard into the driver's side in that inside concrete wall. But yeah, a lot of key contenders and leaders who led a little bit, like Lamas, Hoffman, Qualls, Matthews, Jefferson, all end up collected. So this is going to really shake things up big time when we get back to racing and after the race with the points. But let's go ahead and take you to the restart once again here at Blue Ridge. So after that last caution, more cars are done for today, and they include Matt McIntyre, Ethan Hoffman, Kyle Matthews, Seth Cole, Benjamin Miles, Cody Lamas, James Qualls, and then the last driver who's not going to get points now is James McLeod as he joins Dylan Young, Trent Dunham, Tim Fiegel, and Jake Baskinger out of the race and not getting points. We're down to 27 cars on the lead lap, 28 in total on the racetrack. While James Shelley's in front up here, he's not the race leader, he's just on the tail end because of a scoring issue. But Zachary Fitzwater is your race leader. Second is Colin Phillips. Third, Dylan Poteet. Fourth, Dougie Shears. Fifth, Jonathan Zorline. Sixth, Preston Plord. Seventh, Dylan Jacobs. Eighth, Chris Dollarton. Ninth, Joshua Sekuli. 10th, Charles Sanford. 11th, Dylan Thoreau. 12th, Colin Francis. 13th, Rafael Leduc. 14th, Sean Galligan. 15th, Diego Yepes. 16th, Jessica Shelton. 17th, Paul Minnick. 18th, Carson Gum, 19th DJ Curtis, 20th Patrick Smith, and then the rest of the field, Emmanuel Hardnett, Alex Drayton, Jake Rogers, Jay Jefferson, Joshua Collard, Anthony McCrory, James Shelley, and then Ryan Butcher still one lap down. But this restart's going to be interesting because Shelley and Butcher are slow, and they're going to end up holding up pretty much everyone as everyone's scrambling to try and get around. And look at Zorleen! Holy cow, he went through the middle! So too does Jacobs. Oh man, they were 5 wide back here, and somehow they kept it together. How did they not wreck right there? Going 5 freaking wide. But anyways, that was impressive. Zorleen and Jacobs both went through the middle to get up here to the front while those slower cars held up the leaders right there. So unbelievable job on the part of the 88 and the 78. But Zorleen's going to lead that lap, and it's 10 to go here in the Kraft 500 at Blue Ridge. Meanwhile, Poteet, who was on the pole, I don't think he has gotten the lead a lap yet today. He's en route to trying to get that to happen. But he's going to have to get some major draft help or really work these drivers up here to get that spot. And right now, Poteet going to try and take second away, and he does take second away from Dylan Jacobs. Zachary Fitzwater starting to reel in the top 3 again. And now Poteet to the inside of Zorleen going to try and take that lead. The lead that he had at the start of the race, but hasn't gotten the bonus point for leading a lap yet. And now he's got that spot. As things are starting to get interesting up here at the front, as now some of the field's starting to try and catch back up to the top 5 or so in hopes of trying to make this a bigger fight for the win, and Poteet finally got that bonus point and led that lap. Sandfer, who was involved in that big one just a little bit ago, he's up all of a sudden up here into the top 5 still, and he takes third away. Colin Phillips and Zachary Fitzwater, who were up at the top 2, they're trying to come back. Galligan, who was involved in the first big one, he's up here. So too is Collard and LeDuc. Then again, a couple of those guys just got cosmetic damage, nothing severe. But right now, Poteet has a slim lead over Charles Sandfer, as Sandfer now is about to get challenged by Zachary Fitzwater for the position. But Colin Phillips may have something different to say, as he's going to try and take third away from Fitzwater. And meanwhile, Dylan Jacobs may be trying to buy his time and wait for these drivers to get really racy, and then he'll take advantage. As they have a pretty big gap. The top 6 are over a second ahead of Galligan and the rest of the drivers behind him. Side by side for the race lead. Battle is ongoing between Poteet and Sandfer. Colin Phillips may end up closing in because of that, because of the fact they were running side by side. That's definitely going to help the guys from Phillips back to Jacobs' chances of getting up here to battle for the win, as it's now 5 to go here at Blue Ridge. Sandfer leads, Poteet second, but look at Colin Phillips go. And now he's going to get that run to the inside for himself. The rookie out of MWR is now up here. Now keep in mind, next season the 00 will no longer be a Dodge or MWR. And in fact, all the teams next season, except for a couple, are going to get renamed. And the 00 is going to be part of a new formation team called Curtis McIntyre Racing, which will be co-owned by DJ Curtis and Matt McIntyre. And the 00 will be piloted by Phil Parker next season. And in fact, before this season's over, we're going to give you a preview of all the cars and the drivers for Season 6. But right now, Sandfer's still hanging on to that lead, but Poteet's not giving up very easily, as he's got to run to the inside. It's like the drivers from third on back need to work together if they're going to be able to challenge these two up here at the front. But right now, Poteet has that spot, and he's just now cleared Sanford to make sure he kept it. Colin Phillips thought about going low. Fitzwater trying to run a lower lane, and now Sanford trying to take the lead back from Poteet. As we got two side-by-side battles, one for second, one for the lead, one for third. Zorleen and Jacobs, I'm still thinking they're just buying their time, that or they just are not fast enough to really contend up here. As you can tell, this gap that's going all the way back to Collard has really grown. Sanford still trying to clear Poteet as we're getting ready to come to the white flag, but Sanford just opened the door for Colin Phillips. And look at Zorleen. He's finally going to try and go for it. White flag is out here at Blue Ridge. Sanford has the lead, but Colin Phillips has got to run to the inside. But he doesn't have draft help. So that's really changing this line that the 00's running, and he ain't going to be able to get to that spot because he didn't have anyone pushing him. Poteet, on the other hand, still has a shot, and now Poteet, here he comes. Oh man, it's going to be a drag race when we come to the start-finish line. It's almost a repeat of Denver last week. Checkered flag waving, it's going to be close, but Dylan Poteet, I believe he got it. And indeed he get almost mirrored the exact same finish from last week at Denver, except the bottom lane prevailed. And Dylan Poteet finally, I believe that is his first win of the season. In fact, that is his first win of the season. Congratulations, Dylan Poteet has just won the Kraft 500 at Blue Ridge. In another photo finish, 2 races in a row, we got a photo finish out of it. Poteet got it by 2 100ths of a second, almost exactly like Qualls did last week against Benjamin Miles. But great job for the 31 car. But let's look at the rest of the results. Charles Sanford was so close, but no cigar, and he gets a second place finish as a result. Colin Phillips, who thought he had a shot at it, but ends up with a third place run and was the highest finishing rookie, so that was a good thing for him. Jonathan Zorleen came through with a 4th place finish, and we didn't really talk much about him all day until the very end there, especially with that restart when he went through the middle to take the lead. And then Zachary Fitzwater finishes out in 5th. Dylan Jacobs with a solid performance in the 6th position. Sean Galligan, despite getting in the first big one, still finishes in 7th. Same with Rafael Leduc in the 8th spot. Joshua Collard, the points leader, going to more likely remain the points leader as he finished 9th. And then Diego Yepes, the second highest finishing rookie, rounding out the top 10. Rest of the top 20 was Joshua Sekuli, Alex Drayton, Jay Jefferson, Colin Francis, Dougie Shears, Anthony McCurry, Jessica Shelton, Patrick Smith, Carson Gum, Dylan Thoreau, and then the rest of the lead lap cars were Paul Minnick, DJ Curtis, Chris Dollarton, Preston Plord, Jake Rogers, and Emmanuel Hartnett. And then Ryan Butcher, James Shelley finished a lap or 2 down. And then everybody else was out of the race after the 2 cautions, and the bottom 5 that don't get points were James McLeod, Dylan Young, Trent Dunham, Tim Fiegel, and Jake Baskinger. But that does it for our coverage here today at Blue Ridge Speedway. We're definitely going to be coming back here for next season, maybe later this season, potentially. But without further ado, here are your final results, rookie points and regular points heading into our next race. Where's that going to be? I'm not sure, but until then, this is Levi McIntyre, signing off.